Recording in progress.
All right, I will call our December 1st, 2025 Board of Commission meeting to order. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, we'll go to roll call.
Commissioner Dibdahl,
Here.
Commissioner Wolf,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Bursch,
Here.
Mayor Lindsay.
All right. Next item of business is to adopt tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
I got a question on that, actually, before we do that. It looks like in the resolution, or under item number 10, that our math still may be a little off in this, so.
Yeah, the agenda item can stay on the agenda as listed, and you guys can make amendments to correct that, or really, since it's a math correction, I think we could make that change, but it is worth noting that the attachment in the agenda packet is not correct, yes. As far as amending the agenda, I think it's good as it is.
Okay, we've got a motion.
A second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we will move on to approval of the consent calendar for tonight.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by stating aye of the consent calendar.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move into unfinished business, or new business, sorry. Resolution number 2025-27, 2025-27, electric rates for 2026. Jameson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at tonight's meeting, we've got several resolutions here to set rates for utility charges for 2026. Our intent is to have these resolutions considered every year around this time. We like the first meeting in December because that gives you a little bit of time to think about if you need to make any changes or have questions, because the resolutions would not be effective, the usage wouldn't be effective until January 1 of the next year. As far as the electric rates go, we know that we are moving towards the final stages of our electric rate study once the 2023 audit. Four?
That's four.
3 is complete.
3 is complete, yeah. So once the 2023 one was completed, we were able to give a lot of the updated data to DGR, and they took the information they had shared with us last year and were able to update that for consideration for next year's rates. However, they are still in those final stages. We're continuing forward with the audits, and we expect in the near future that we'll have a finalized rate study for consideration that sets the rates for the next several years. Last year, when we had consideration from, when we had heard from DGR on kind of the status of those rate expectations, the commission was posed with 2 different options, which essentially was higher rate increase right away to have lower increases later, or to have a lower increase right away, but in the end, adding it all together, be higher rate increases when it was all said and done. And they were looking over a 5-year span. And the commission at that point went with the option of having the higher rate increase at the beginning so that they could be less rate increases over that 5-year frame. And so that option had increases estimated each year at 9%, then 8%, 5%, 3%, and 3%. And so this year, we were slated to have an 8% increase, and my understanding is that the expectation is that it should be closer to 5%. As they're working on adjusting those numbers, they're finding that we aren't needing as much of an increase as we had originally anticipated, which is good news. The 5% that is in there this year is represented with an increased, or an added, I should say, a new surcharge rate of 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So the base rate and the usage rates would not be changing at all. Would that be correct to say, Mike? Why don't you come on up? Yeah, I'll turn it over to Mike, and he can probably go through the rate changes in more detail than I can.
Okay, so the rate changes that we're looking at, it does add 1 cent per kilowatt hour on all usage. I do want to note that the surcharge and everything that we had last year is rolled into the base charge, and then totaled onto with a 1% or a 1 cent adder on top of that for surcharge for debt service.
That's all I've got, so we'll stand by for any questions.
Do we have any timelines for the study to be completed?
Not the study itself. We're pushing with the 24 audit, which is, I believe, scheduled for beginning part of this next year.
Yeah.
And once that gets complete, Blair will have all his information to complete that. He's worked a lot on it right now with updated numbers that he's had from the 23 audit. And it's been pushed out this far because of the lateness of the audits.
So since this is based on that 5-year schedule, 8533 left to go, do they think that'll adjust any of the later years, or could we potentially have to raise those back up due to what the audit from 2024 is that kind of?
No, there is a 5-year plan. I really hadn't concentrated on that yet with 26 being right here and having
Sure.
to change this, but it does not look like that'll have to be adjusted.
Okay.
It won't be as, I don't want to say as high, but it should stay in line with it.
Sure.
Jameson, the intent is to do this every year, correct, going forward?
Yes, to have a rate resolution reviewed every year. So, once we pass a rate resolution, it's in effect until another one is passed. But we think it'd be good practice to have that consideration every year, whether there's a change or not. And that way, the commission and the public can see what the current rates are, what, if any, changes are proposed. And hopefully, at some point, we can get to the point where the increases are minimal to even zero, but we would still want to see that resolution considered on an annual basis.
I do know that in year 6, in Blair's recommendation does not show an increase at all, if his numbers hold right now as we sit.
Do you have any idea of other utility providers, if there's a common trajectory or what other providers are doing for next year?
Just off hearsay off the news, I don't know if I really need to expound on that without going right to them. I know there was some that were saying 14, one's 18, another one's 9, I think. So
not unusual in the industry right now.
it's not, no.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Just a comment on my behalf. This is kind of the world I reside in, and so I did dive into this a little bit deeper, and I know there's some power supplier increases. WAPA's going to see a 7% increase 2026 for January 1. It looks like East River, our wheeling, is going to go up about 3% in 2021. Right now, and this is where I do have some questions, is SPP, our transmission wheeling. Blair has a 19% increase, and I'm just want to dive into that more with Blair. Blair is with DGR, our hired consultant on this, just to get a better idea of where he's coming up with those numbers. Do you think there'd be an opportunity to have him join the commission meeting or a virtual meeting or even a work meeting, I guess, if we have something like that? Or I could meet him on the outside too, just because, like I said, this is something I'd like to dive a little further into. We did see a big increase last year. We do have some huge capital projects on the horizon, but I want to make sure that we're doing all of our due diligence as we, raise our electric rates. So I guess that would be my request at this time. There is some other questions I do have for him, but I'll save those for for that, but at this time, I would like to see us, table this resolution. Resolution number 2025-27.
Is that a motion then?
That is.
Okay, we'll mark that down.
Is this tied to a debt service or?
Yes,
what are
the
we?
surcharge is related to the debt service for the substation projects that are mandatory for this next year, yep.
And that's dictated, Jameson, that comes from the state?
Or
Or
debt
what-
service
yes,
coverage?
it would,
Lending,
yeah,
the lender,
Yeah.
the lender,
yes.
okay.
Be our bond, right? So-
Right. Yep.
And that, we have time?
Yeah, as far as this resolution, yeah, we certainly could reconsider at the December 15th meeting. We can ask Blair to see if he can join either in person or via Zoom. I don't see any issue with that.
Yeah, I can
Ask
line
those
that up
questions
too, even if
directly.
you guys wanted to do a work meeting or something like that too, whatever you guys would need. We can just get that scheduled with him.
So resolution 25, 28, 29 are all independent, correct?
27, 28, 29, yes.
Yes.
Yep, they can all be considered approved, tabled independently.
I have a motion on the table to table item number 9.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussions, questions? All right, I will, with that, I'll take a roll call, or what do we need, just
Voice vote's fine,
voice vote?
or whatever you prefer.
All in favor signify by stating aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you. With that, we'll go into item number 10, Resolution 2025-28, Water and Sewer Rate 2026 updated.
And as Kelly mentioned, we had some incorrect numbers on there, and we tried updating it, and I don't know if that came through correctly in the packet. Okay, so the packet that I printed off here, the totals, just for the use that first chart, is 5325 and then 5475. And speaking with Mike, you didn't think that was right? Or is this looking more correct?
That 5325 doesn't look correct. That should be.
That's not right.
Yeah,
It
that
should be
32.
3225.
Okay. Do you know if there's any other errors?
Residential. I went through the rest of it and I did not see any other errors.
And just to be clear for the public, anybody listening, so we have base charge, we have a surcharge, and we have a total, and we're thinking that total line item is what's incorrect. Those numbers are just added together incorrectly, so.
That's correct. The 1650 and the 1575 should total 3225. I don't know.
It looks like the next number, the 5475, is correct. So I think it's just that one number, so we can consider, that a clerical correction for the resolution. So user chargers, section A, has a chart there, and that first total, which states 5325, should be 3225. I think we can consider that corrected. I'll take a step back and kind of give an overview in this as well. So this covers our water and our sewer, our water and wastewater fees for 2026. It has several different areas that cover the base rates, the usage charges, any surcharges that are included with both our water and our wastewater utilities. Those are connected together here. We aren't looking at any changes to the base or usage rate. It does add a surcharge for the Egan Avenue project, which is still ongoing construction. And I know we talked about it earlier in the year, but it's always good to refresh memory. So whenever we have an SRF project or project, funded similarly to these, we have to have approval of those surcharges before the project's awarded or approved. And then that doesn't go into effect until the project is nearing completion. And so this case, we're halfway through the project, and the cleanest way to add that usage is just put it on January 1 and start collecting that for the Egan Avenue project. And that is required for paying off the debt on that construction project. So that is my understanding, the only change between last year's or the 2025 rates and the 2026 rates. Those surcharges will be found in subsections L and M, and reflect $4.30 for the wastewater and $4 even for the water. Mike, anything to add?
Nope, I think you got it.
Apologies for that typo there. Any questions on the numbers or overall regarding this resolution?
How would you like that clarified?
If anybody wants to, first you have to have a motion to approve, and then you do a motion to amend. If you want to do that to make it perfectly clear that this total is 3225, I have no opposition to that.
I had a question, I guess. Would it be pertinent to have the sunsets of these surcharges in this?
Yeah, the sunsets are, I would imagine, are bond documents, so it basically is going to be until that debt coverage is paid off, and then it's removed automatically. I don't think it's in this document, but it would be within any loan documents that we've approved.
Do you know what that is, Mike?
I don't right offhand. I would have to get with Amy and, you know, it can be updated easy enough, but.
I think it's a 30-year loan.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. And we're required to have debt coverage of 110% on those payments each year. And I think there is language in here that states that, you know, every year we want to continue monitoring those numbers so that based on the actual usage and revenues being collected, we want to adjust the surcharge each year to make sure we're maintaining the 110% debt coverage. And so just based on that fact alone, even though it's a 30-year loan, it's not unusual for those to get paid off early. I'm not saying substantially early, but we have to maintain the 110% debt coverage. Sounds like
That's
Amy-
correct.
Yeah, I was gonna say, ask if Amy's got anything to add, so.
I have a question on items J and K, I think. On the surcharges that say for the SRF loan 2022, the clean water and the drinking water, it says collection of the surcharge shall start on January 1st, 2024. We did not actually start collecting those surcharges on that date, correct?
No, we did not.
Okay.
Correct.
So I don't know if that needs to change to reflect the reality or if that can stay.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have
a
any
great
thoughts
question.
if Mike or Amy would, but.
We just passed that, what was that, October? Started collecting that in October, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. I don't know that we need to change it back to that. It was supposed to start in 2024, so I think the document should still say that.
Good questions. Any other questions?
Any further discussion on item 10? Not hearing any, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-28, water and sewer rates for 2026.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion with the amended total.
Yeah, so I think if you want to now make a motion to amend, that way it can be perfectly clear. So the motion to amend to 3225 in the first total.
Do you want two separate motions, or the second
Yeah,
and
so
first?
first would be the motion which you have made to approve resolution 2025-28, and then you can make a motion to amend for that clarification, and then you'd have to have a vote on separately on both those items.
So we can vote on the original if you're willing to second that motion.
Second,
Well, you'll have to vote to amend now.
And vote to amend now.
Motion to amend now, excuse me. A little Robert's rules to finish off your day.
I'll make a motion to amend resolution number 2025-28 with the total number.
So we'll delete 5325 from that first total in subsection A, inserting 3225.
all right, motion and a second, all in favor,
I think you need a second, right?
great. Okay.
I'll second that.
With a second, for the second time, I guess, all in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And now you're back to the main motion of approval of the resolution. That just amended it.
So now we're looking for a motion.
You've already had the motion, so now you can vote on it whenever your discussion is concluded.
Any further discussion on adjusting? So now we're adjusting the rate, or what, we're
Now you're
No,
approving the
we're just approving
resolution.
the
just
resolution
approving
as
the
amended.
resolution?
So I'll make a motion to approve the
You already
resolution.
made the motion though, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So second on that.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, and everybody in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. With that, we will move into item number 11, resolution number 2025-29, solid waste rates 2026. Jameson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So our last utility for consideration tonight is our garbage and trash service. And this is a simpler one. It's a one-page resolution. You can see the rates there. And this resolution represents a $2 per cart increase. And so this utility, like all of our utilities, is self-funded. We just make sure that we are bringing in as much revenue as we are planning to have in expenses for the year. And so that $2 increase was discussed during budget time, included next year's budget, and necessary to cover the expenses of the solid waste utility. So that brings a 65-gallon cart monthly cost to $20.25, a 95-gallon cart to $23 even, those with no cart to $23 even, and then dumpsters at $30. Stand by for questions.
Where do we compare to our neighboring communities and maybe in the private sector, do we know?
Gary's just been itching to get up here, so we'll call him on down.
Got my cheat sheet with me, so I think we're pretty comparable. We got, let's see, Huron, they're at $30.98 for 95 gallons, and then same for 65. Rapid City's at 28 and 30. Waste Management, they're at 36 and 41, so I think we're in that ballpark about.
As I say, most of the ones I looked up in the area were between $18 and $35, so we're at the bottom end of what most of them were showing, so. And it is self-funded, so revenue needs to meet expenses. This is money that goes directly to garbage service and nothing but garbage service, so.
All right, any other questions for Gary or Jameson? Not hearing any, I will entertain a motion for item number 11.
I will move to approve resolution number 2025-29, solid waste rates 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 12, authorize finance officer to sign Basin Deposit Account Control Agreement for PPA provision. Jameson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you remember, at the last meeting, we had approved an agreement with Basin Electric for use of our generation plant. And in that agreement, we had referenced that we would need to provide a performance assurance until our 2024 audit is completed. And so this is that agreement that sets that up. Essentially, it states that the city will maintain a balance of $500,000 in account, and should we default or fall short on any of our commitments in that agreement approved last meeting, Basin will be able to draw down upon that to reflect that shortcoming. We don't expect that to be the case, and we do expect is that once the 24 audit is completed, that this performance assurance agreement would no longer be needed.
I think this is pretty straightforward. I'd just add one thing, that this is the most cost-effective method for us, costing us $129 a month.
Any other questions? comments? Not hearing any, I will entertain a motion for item number 12.
We'll make a motion to authorize the finance officer to sign Basin Deposit Account Control Agreement for PPA provision.
Second.
Motion and a second. I guess Amy, are you taking roll? I will recuse myself from this, but all in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 13, approval of change order number 2 for the Armory Gymnasium floor, FLR Sander, Inc.
I'll turn this one over to Ryan.
So this change order represents the final quantity adjustment. There was an allotment of $10,000 for existing concrete floor corrections. The actual cost for those corrections was only $2,250. So this decrease is $7,750. And then this will final out all of our quantities. And the final contract price incorporating this change order is $156,942.93.
I've seen pictures, looks nice.
It does, yeah, it turned out really good.
Any other questions for Ryan? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion for item 13.
Motion to approve change order number 2, Armory Gymnasium floor, FLR Sanders Incorporated.
Second.
Motion and a second. Everyone in favor signify by stating aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 14, approve change order number 4, Madison Water System Improvement, Segment 4, Metro Construction. Is that Ryan, Ryan?
Yeah, thank you. So this change order is also representing final quantity adjustment, segment 4 project. This change order reconciles the overrun and underrun of quantities and results in a net decrease in the contract total of $4,715.20. This change order will then bring the total contract price to $868,264.09. And this is just some minor quantity adjustments to some items like base course, asphalt, geotextile fabric, and things of that nature.
Thank you. Any additional questions for Ryan? Not hearing any, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve change order number 4, Madison Water System Improvement, Segment 4.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 15, December city updates. We'll start with Jameson.
All right, so we are wrapping up our last updates for the year, but of course, a lot of these things, all of them pretty much occurred to the month of November. And so as we look at the active projects, you'll see that there are a number of projects that have been marked complete, so that's very exciting, and we've got slides in some of these, but many of the major construction projects are checked off for the year, as are the library ramps. Budget preparation we still had on there, we need to check that one off. The wage study we've completed, and we expect the compensation resolution with any changes to be on the next meeting, and then the Armory gym floor as well. So on this slide, you can see the railings from the library, and as you know, these were fabricated in-house by our mechanic, and he did a great job with it, and also saved the city and its taxpayers a good amount of money doing that in-house. On Egan Avenue, Ryan, do you mind if I just turn this slide over to you? You're gonna be able to speak to it a little bit better than me.
So this list of things that are upcoming has changed quickly. Obviously with the weather and the temperatures, this is going to probably prompt a winter shutdown. We're going to be meeting with the contractor on Wednesday to determine what work remains in order to prep that roadway for the winter. There'll be some temporary gravel surfacing that'll be on the intersecting streets. But our plan is to have Egan Avenue open to public, traffic as soon as possible. Obviously, the median topsoil and the sand drainage material is probably not going to get done. They're also done pouring any concrete, so those intersection pours and manhole blockouts, those are also not going to happen. But streetlights, I need to determine if those streetlights have all been wired now and they're functional. We also want to make sure that any critical sidewalks are still able to be done with ground thawing equipment and blankets. But basically, we are closing the end of our construction season here, and the rest of the work is just going to be to prep it for winter.
Thank you, Ryan. I'll pause there. Any questions for Ryan?
You mentioned temporarily opening. When do you anticipate that?
Yeah, we'll have to come up with a list of things that need to be done. I'm unclear exactly what's been done as far as the streetlights and exactly what's been done on some of those intersections. I took off the end of last week, and I'm not confident that I'm caught up completely on what's been done and what remains. So we'll have that meeting with them on Wednesday. At that time, they'll indicate their time schedule, and we should be able to get that out to the public and all staff.
Thank
But
you.
I would imagine it would be within the next week and a half.
So who's responsible to get that set?
Yeah, the contractor bears all of the costs for the temporary material. They also bear all the costs for the maintenance of that. So if that gravel surfacing gets in bad shape and washboarding, our city crews don't have to go and address that. The contractor does, so they'll leave equipment here. They've promised to be diligent about that. This contractor is the same contractor we had on Ninth Street. Whenever there were some issues there, they were quick to address them. So we're hoping the same is true here.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Egan? Okay, we'll move on to the Armory, and we just approved the change order for that, but I wanted to include this in here so you guys can see a picture of the floor. We think it turned out fantastic. We're happy to see it opened up, and today, December 1st, was the first day for public usage of that facility again. And anybody looking to use that can schedule that through the community center. Switching over to the public libraries events and some updates. They had just wrapped up Dine November, where they had a few different dinosaur-related activities with paleontologists that came in to talk about fossils. And then they also wanted to share that they are officially accredited. So libraries have the opportunity to be accredited so that the community can be assured that they're getting the best services they can from our public library. And I think that should be no surprise to anybody here who utilizes their library that they are getting the best services, and that accreditation, I think, helps to showcase that. We had our City Circle for November was a kids edition, and so we had kids join a statewide library initiative. So we brought in the fire chief, we brought in Commissioner Kelly Dibdahl as the public safety commissioner, and they had a focus on fire trucks and had a book read, and were able to see some equipment. So the kids had a great event and were able to talk about a few different topics there, such as why fire hydrants are different colors and different fire safety basics, and why we need to have smoke detectors in our homes. So Kelly, anything to add there? It was a good event.
It's a great event. Just want to say thanks to the staff, the city staff, the librarians, and all the employees of the library. It was a really creative event with a really good turnout with lots of good questions. So it was a fun deal.
I do have one question. Why are fire hydrants different colors?
It's dependent on the size of the main underneath it.
That makes sense. Don't want to have any water lines getting crushed, so.
Exactly.
All right, and then we also wanted to call out that we had some other kids or youth visiting the city hall this last month. So we had two different high school classes that came to the building, met with city leaders, had opportunity to ask some questions about how local government works, and we love hosting anybody in our building, and especially the youth from our town. And then, as you guys know, we had our District 8 legislators at a last commission meeting to share some insights on what they're seeing forthcoming in the next legislative session. Upcoming events, we don't have any dates on these yet, but we are looking at having another city circle via Facebook Live, and so that'll be coming up here in December. And then the State of the City, this would be the second annual State of the City address. Last year was in January, and we would expect to keep it around that same time frame, but we have not had dates set for either of these events yet, but those will be upcoming. Also upcoming, the library has been working on neighborhood narratives. So we've had a DSU student who's been gathering 1-minute stories from community voices, including some folks that are elected officials and staff for the city here. And so those are going to be collected stories available for listening through the library. And then they're also having a pajama party for their New Year's, I always say this carefully, Noon Year's Eve party. So for a lot of kids that want to kind of celebrate the new year coming, but don't want to or aren't staying up till midnight that night, from 11 to 12:30 on December 31st, on New Year's Eve, they're having a Noon Year's Eve party. And I think that's always a big hit for the kids every year. And I'll kind of steal the announcement that's at the bottom of the agenda here. We still have, we have an opening on the Community Center Advisory Committee. This would be starting January 1, and so we've been advertising that for a few weeks now and look to have appointment for that before the end of the year. If anybody has any questions on serving this Community Center Advisory Committee, they can reach out to myself or any staff at the Community Center. I think that's it. Any questions?
All right, with that, we'll move into our public comment section. Doesn't appear we have anybody signed in, so we'll move into announcements. As Jamison mentioned, we have a board opening on the Community Center Advisory Board. Our next commission work session will be Monday, December 8th at noon. And our next regular scheduled commission meeting will be Monday, December 15th at 5:30 p.m. With that, I will entertain a motion to go into exec.
So move.
Second.
Do we need roll call for that?
No, voice.
Or voice, all in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Recording stopped.